Okay, so I'm not sure if that recorded or if this is just going to be a new one. I'm Karen. This is the Creator Studio. Corey, we were talking about we are leveling up our skills, and one of the ways that we do that is just looking at our little space over there, tech things. We are talking about 10 ways for women solopreneurs to level up their websites and some tips around that. So I'm going to let you take over and tell us a little bit about you, and we will jump into our workshop.
Okay. Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here. I found Fave maybe 6 to 8 months ago, and I was like kind of on the fence. And my friend Jean Kirchable said, "You got to come to Fave. You got to come to Fave." She kept saying it over and over. So I was like, fine, I'll see who this Karen person is and see what this is all about. Oh my gosh. 5 minutes in, I'm like, I'm sold. Yes, definitely. This is where I want to be. This is an amazing group of people with an amazing woman, at the helm. Karen, happy birthday. And thank you for making this possible. This is really cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Corey Rudabush. I am a web designer. I really love helping women business owners elevate their online presence, specifically through WordPress websites that really make your personality and your voice shine. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what I'm going to be talking about. Boop, ba-doop. Oh, I'm not going to start at the end. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Present. There we go. Okay. So a little bit about me. You guys are now on a different screen, so I'm just unmute if you want to ask a question or have anything you want clarified. So I won't be able to see you very well. I am going to pop a PDF in the chat if you guys are interested in kind of taking notes on what I'm going to be talking. It's like you're going to see the whole presentation pretty much, but you'll get the 10 tips. Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to pop in and ask me any questions. Okay, so you can either download that to your computer and then it's like a fillable PDF that you can save, or you can print it, or you can just take your own notes, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. Okay, so I want to kind of talk about me and my background for just 2 minutes, just to kind of tell you why I do what I do and where this all comes from. So I was a stay-at-home parent for 13 years, and I loved every minute of it. It was really, really good time with my kids, and being here for that. Yeah. Does someone have a question? Sorry, I cannot see you guys. Okay, so anyway, during that time of being a stay-at-home parent, I had I don't just not do things. So I had to be involved in a lot of things. So I was in the PTA and our preschool leadership and our neighborhood association and a few other nonprofits around Shoreline, Washington. And when we had needs, obviously, for websites. So I was the one who raised my hand and said, yeah, I'll figure that out. And in the process, I learned a few skills building websites for nonprofits mostly. And then about 2 years ago, a little before that, I mean, much before that, but 2 years ago, it became real that I saw a divorce on my horizon. So I was like, okay, I got to be able to stand on my own 2 feet. I don't want to go work for someone else. I'm just going to make this happen. I'm going to just believe in myself and put all my eggs in building a business for myself. At the time, I was still a little wishy-washy about what that was going to look like. I thought something in tech, maybe VA services. And then I found an online platform that was teaching web designers how to build their businesses. So I was like, well, I'm pretty good at websites, and it's a great combination for me of the beautiful front end creative stuff, which I love, but then also the back end of all the puzzles, the challenges, the tech integrations, and making sure everything works, right? So it was really a great challenge and creative problem solution kind of situation for me. So I really like websites. So I went in on myself, I just all in learning websites. And then I was like, yeah, I'll build websites for anybody. And my first website was the contractor who helped me frame this office that I'm in. And it was it was a not a fun thing. And I know it was my first one, but it was also just the dynamic between this guy who I had gotten to know really well and just interacting and trying to get information from him. And it was a mess. And I was like really quickly figured out in the process of getting out of a really toxic marriage, I'm like, I want to work with women. I want to help women build their businesses. I want to help women raise their voices and make more money and do all these things that I was also trying to do. So that's where I found my passion, is just I dove 100% into helping women build their businesses. My kids are still a little, their feathers are ruffled about that. They think it's kind of discriminatory, but I'm like, I don't not work with men. I have male clients who I love working with. I just prefer my ideal client is a woman. So that's a little bit about my background story. And then why this talk? So one of the things I really love to do is dive into people's websites and kind of just pull out little pieces that are easy for them to implement and make a little bit of changes and tweaks that will have a big impact on your audience and who comes to you and who converts into a client. So I do website assessments, and I have my business anniversary is tomorrow. So I have a really cool special that I want to tell you about at the end of the talk. So if you're interested, put a little asterisk in that. Okay, I'm going to dive in. Any questions? Okay. Okay, so where are we going today? Some questions you might be asking. Does this apply to me if I use Squarespace or Shopify or Wix or WordPress? Yes, like I said, I build primarily in WordPress. I'm also doing Jean's site in Squarespace, so I'm getting really comfortable in Squarespace. Shopify and Wix are usually more e-commerce based. I'm not a big fan of e-commerce, so that's not my specialty, but all of these things can apply to any website platform that you're on. What if I don't have a website at all? I think most of you do, but if you don't have a website, or if you're thinking of a whole new pivot that you're doing and you're like, oh, I just don't even know where to begin, this will help you kind of just think about those top things to remember when you're sketching out your ideas. And then what are we talking about again? Okay, how to grab attention when someone lands on your site. People have really short attention spans these days. How to stay top of mind going forward, and then how to speak to your ideal customer and take them on a journey through your site. Yes, absolutely, Karen. That is so true. So yeah, like you basically, like Karen has been saying, you basically have a mini web page, like a landing page there on Fave. So all of these things can apply to that. So yeah, that's really great. Okay, so as you review your site and thinking about all these 10 things to maybe tweak and optimize, also be thinking about your marketing strategy. They kind of go hand in hand. Websites are not a you build it and they will come situation. You have to get those people to your site. So that can be, showing up at these awesome networking events, talking up what you do and the impact you're making, your business cards, your social media, all of those things are how you get people to your website. And Fave, obviously, the Fave app is so cool. Okay, so I referred to this earlier, short attention spans. And 10 is very generous. You have less than 10 seconds to convince people to stay on your website and learn more about you. Most people, if they're like, yeah, this isn't for me, and they bounce really quickly. That's what a bounce rate is, if you ever see that statistic. So you want people to stay on your page and learn more. So the first tip, number one, is to maximize your space above the fold. So that's an old newspaper term. Obviously, the most important things that you should be putting on your website are right up front, the first thing that fills the screen when someone lands on your site. Okay, so the first thing that I'm always looking for is an amazing image, right up front and center. And this, if you're a service provider, should be you. If it's a product, maybe it's you making your products, right? You want to really capture that attention with, oh my gosh, there's a human here and she's got some things to say. She's got some important things to share with me. In that vein, a headline. You need a headline that makes people realize that they landed on the right page and they're curious to learn more. A copywriter I recently met, she's like, I spend no time on my pages. I spend 90% of my time working on that headline. So think about, that kind of gives you a little perspective of, this is an important thing. Maybe write out 10, 20 headlines and then pick the perfect one that really talks to your ideal client. Because right away, you want to be building on that know, like, and trust factor. And why is this? You all know this. People buy from people. A lot of the sites I go to, I'm scrolling and scrolling. I'm like, who am I? Who is in charge here? Who am I putting? I want to know who I'm putting money into the pockets of. So I think it's really important to have your image there somewhere on the homepage. Don't bury it deep into your about page. Most people won't even leave your homepage, until they want to know a lot more about you. So, okay. So in that vein, number 2, what's the number 1 thing you want people to do on your site? And this is your primary call to action. So for a lot of service providers, it's let's talk, let's get in touch. We need to communicate somehow. The first call to action or button that you see on there is not buy my $10,000 package. That's not how it works, right? So they want to get to know you, have something a little lower down, get to know each other. It could be shop our products. It could be different other things, but you got to think about what the number 1 thing is as your primary call to action. That's the main button you want either in your header or right in your header image, the middle first part of your above the fold. For a lot of sites I work on, the primary call to action is to be collecting emails. So this is pretty much business 101. You guys know this since you guys work in the online space a lot, but you can't control social media. The algorithms change all the time. And it might take a few interactions before people are ready to buy from you. They might like your stuff today, but they might really love your stuff tomorrow because everybody's business changes and evolves. And if they're curious, they want to be reminded later on about all the amazing things you're doing and selling and bringing into the world. So a lot of people develop a freebie to incentivize that email give, because your email audience, they're your captive audience. So think about something you can give away that is enticing for them to give you their email. So for example, if you have a product, maybe it's free shipping on your first order or some kind of discount. You've probably seen that 100 times. Or a link to a guide, a class, original work. I have 2 freebies, and one is a home self-audit of your website, and the other is a project planner. So kind of like organizing your whole website. I think they might be a little overwhelming, but I still think they're valuable. So they're there. For some of my artist friends, they're like, I don't know, I don't want to give anything away. What can I do? And so for them, it's like, well, what if you have a little sneak peek of what's your next creation, or what are you working on? Some of those things are enticing for people to give them that email. All right, I'm going to slow down and take a breath, little PQ break. Okay, we're on number 5. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so now we're talking about copy. You're going to want to talk to your ideal client. Okay, so this is further down on the page. And really, I emphasize the home page because that's your first impression. That's your getting to know people place. And this, it follows throughout your whole site, but you want to be talking to your client. So get crystal clear on who your ideal client is. Who are your services or your products for? Who has purchased from you in the past? Who are the people that really resonate with your work and why? So what you got to pull together those common threads, like make sure your copy is talking to those people. I mean, an example for me, I guess, would be, I could talk to the DIY crowd, but I choose not to because I want people that want to collaborate and work together on building their website. I don't want to spend a lot of time and effort teaching people how to DIY their own website. There's tons of awesome resources out there, and I'd be happy to point anyone to those, but that's not my audience. So that's not who I'm talking to. So you'll see that reflected in my website if you go there. Speaking of copy, a hard to hear truth, most people spend more time checking out your logo than they do reading your copy. So make sure your copy is scannable. Use headlines, short paragraphs, bold things that are important, lots of white space. So being scannable is important. I've seen so many, and so many great websites. It doesn't matter what kind of service they provide, but they have this long paragraphs that, sorry, I don't think very many people are going to read all of that. You want to really highlight the most important things. Another word about copy, and this is just kind of marketing too, is that people don't really care that much about you yet. They want to know how you can help them. So you're really going to focus on how you help solve their problem. So a lot of sites I go on, they're like, I graduated from Yale and I did this and I did this and I did this. And it's like, okay, fine, but why am I reading that? I want to know how you can help me with my problem. So just kind of shift that a little bit. And once they were like, oh, she can really help me, then you can put more information to show them your personality and what you're all about. Okay, number 6, we're going to kind of take a step back and look at the overall structure of the site. Navigation, how people get around and through your site. This is really important. Make it intuitive, make it easy to get around. Don't let there be dead ends or you get to a landing page and you can't get back. Some of those things are frustrating for your clients and customers. So you'll often see a little bit of the header, and then you'll have the email grab. You'll see a little information about you. And then there's often a group of 3 things like, okay, here's some ways you can work with me. So if you're an artist, maybe it's your original arts. Here's your prints of your artwork. And then you have products. Or if you're a coach, maybe you have your individual one-on-one programs. You have your group programs, and then you have an online course. So those are some ways to break it down to make it easy and intuitive for people to find what they need to find, what they want to learn more about. This is a big one I see, is consistent branding. You want to make sure that your branding is consistent. Let's say that again. So this is an example of a brand sheet that I did for my friend Heather. She's an acupuncturist here in Shoreline. And so we worked together to come up with her logo, her color palette, her fonts, and then we put together some imagery to kind of just convey the tone and the vibe of her whole site. So even though we didn't use these images, it just helped kind of give the sense of what this site is supposed to be about and the brand, right? So then you take that forward into your marketing and your business cards, maybe the sign at your office, whatever it is that you're doing. It just shows your professionalism and that you've got it going on. Okay, any questions? Okay, so number 8 is looking good on mobile. Most people these days, I'm still surprised to see this, but most people look at your website on their phone or a tablet, but mostly a phone. And yeah, exactly. You can use your brand sheet. And it's, I mean, I print them out and I kind of have them handy. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing my emails. I want to have my email font match my brand font and just different things like that. It carries through your whole, everything that you do. Okay, so for mobile usability, a lot of this comes out of the box in newer platforms. But if you have an older site, really think about the user experience on phones and tablets. Okay, 9, SEO. Okay, so SEO is how Google kind of figures out who you are and what you do. And this is how your ideal customers find you online organically. So if you have a location specific, like especially if you're a local place, like Jean, for example, does local photography, right? So her SEO is filled with Seattle photographer, Lake Forest Park, women's portraiture. So that's what I mean by a keyword. So know what your keywords are. What will people be typing into Google searches and you want to show up as a result? And then you're going to want to use those keywords on every single page. Okay, so there's a title and a description. So you're going to want to put the important keyword for each page in your title and often in your description too. This is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but header tags, another way to show Google what's important. This is, people can build, and many people build careers around SEO specifically. So you don't need to it's a rabbit hole, don't go too crazy, but just some basic stuff will get you a long way in being found organically online. All right, my last tip, number 10. It's all good. Number 10 is no hiding. Make sure your ideal customers know where to find you. So not only is it your email and your socials and different ways people can get to know you, but also on your website, you want to have your personality. You want that to shine through. You want them to go, ooh, I want to learn more about this amazing person who's shown me all these things that can make my life better. All right, I think that's all I wanted to say about that. I think I talked about my freebie. I have the website checklist and then also the project planner. And I wanted to tell you about the limited time pricing on a website strategy session. And that's how to get in touch with me. So you guys know where to find me. I'm all over Fave. I also have a Women to Watch blog, and I would love to feature any of you awesome people. So just feel free to email me and hit me up, and we can talk about how to do that. I did want to show you the website assessments I have. This is my landing page for website assessments. A lot of stuff I talked about already. 10 seconds to make a great first impression. A slow page speed will lose visitors. A poorly designed site can lose more customers than it gains. Just little things like spacing and headlines and menus that can really improve how people interact with your site. And I just want to show you my 2 different options. I have a strategic website assessment, which is the front end and the back end, so it's a lot more complicated. And then a first impression website, which I want to tell you guys about today. It's just like what it sounds like. When people are landing on your website, what is their first impression? And is there anything you could just tweak to make that experience a little bit better and get more people to reach out to you? So like I have here, the typical cost is $300. For Fave members, it's $200 with a discount that you can find on the Fave app. And then for this week only, my anniversary is 11/11. So every year at this time, I have 1 week where I offer the first impression website assessment for $111. So if you're interested in that, I can send you the link to book that directly. So I am going to stop my share and see if you guys have any questions.
I do.
Yeah.
Do I have to raise my, is that good? I raised my hand. I raised my hand. I was good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, what seems pretty for you is just rolls off the top of your tongue. This to me is like, oh, wow. So here's my question. If, couple things. If I, for example, I do have a Wix website and it's non-commerce, it's a business website. How easy, if I wanted you to work, take it and do some of these things you're talking about, how would you be able to do that? I'm trying to get a grasp a little bit more in your services.
Sure. And you're determined you are staying with Wix? That's my question.
No, I'm not. Apparently not.
I don't mind Wix, but for me, I like WordPress because as you grow and evolve, you can add things in. If you're like, and I totally respect what Gina's done. She's like, I'm Squarespace. I'm not going to WordPress. I hate WordPress.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. I did WordPress. Yeah.
So for me, that makes total sense because the platform is very user-friendly and straightforward. She's always going to be a photographer. That's what she wants to do. She doesn't want to do courses and add in all these different aspects that you could do later on. So that's why I like building in WordPress, because you can add functionality as you grow, if that makes sense. But if you're like, this is what I'm doing and I'm golden, or I'm okay redesigning in a few years, then stick with what you got. Okay. And that's fine.
Actually, what I was asking is if you're familiar, no, it's okay. If you're familiar with Squarespace and I wanted to work with you based on these things, can I just, I want to make sure that I could transfer,
Absolutely. Like a redesign. We call that a redesign.
Yeah, I mean a redesign, but just on a different platform. I mean, I've taken the same material to 3 different platforms. So, and that's something we can talk about later. I just didn't know your skill set in terms of what you offer, and also about the copy. Do you do the copy, or do you?
So I do
copy. That does that for you.
Yeah, I do my copy. But my kind of main middle of the road package does not include copy. You come with your own copy, but I also have some amazing copywriters I could refer you to too. So it's not, I can do it. I like to do it. I don't love to do it. So I often will refer that out. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
I have a question for you. You were talking about SEO and keywords. Yeah. So if you don't really know what your keywords are, what's a great place to start? How do you, how do you start that search? What would people be looking for?
Yes. So I would get into Google. I would get into the head of your ideal client, first of all. And I would say, okay, what is my ideal client looking for? So they might be looking for women-owned businesses, or support women-owned businesses, or promote women-owned businesses. And then sometimes, the Google search bar, and then you start typing something in and it gives you all these suggestions. Yeah. Those are commonly searched things. So that will give you a clue about what people are searching for too. Okay. And there's also some really great free tools out there, and I can send you some links that they're called keyword research tools. Oh. And so you just kind of plug in a few things and they are like, that's great, but actually more people are searching for this, which is kind of just a tweak on what you put in. And so you can kind of see search volume, how many times people are searching this versus this, and just things like that. Little tweaks like that can make a big difference on how people find you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a comment. I just had a business conference here, and one of the things that the leader said was, questions open a portal. Isn't that like the coolest thing? So that's what I do in hypnotherapy, is I just ask people questions, and then it opens your mind and possibilities and everything. So on my website, I had just put everything kind of bullet points, like you said, so it's not too much copy. But I was thinking, have you ever seen anyone just like ask questions to their ideal client? Would you think that would be effective?
Absolutely. I think that's amazing, because especially in your field, because you want people to ask those questions, like, what could my life really look like? Like, what if this was possible? What if this was possible? Absolutely. You're getting them to think about their problem, and you're planting the seed that you're the person that can help them solve that problem.
Okay, great.
I think that's
awesome. Also giving them a clue of what it could be. Yeah.
Possibility is really sexy. It really is. I mean, it's just like, wow, what could be possible? We hear so much about the problem, but to hear about, because a lot of people use pain points, right? They use pain to attract, but hope and possibility is equally as strong.
I agree.
So not sugar fairy stuff, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna, did somebody else have a question? I'm coming for round 2. Okay, so round 2. One of the things we used to do is we would do a competitive analysis. You find out what your competition's doing, which is really helpful in the sense that you can find out some of the verbiage, some of the keywords in some ways.
Yeah.
But also to get a sense of like what's attracting people in the marketplace and what speaks to me. Because that's the thing I was thinking about when you were talking. It was like those 10 headliners, brilliant. It's great. I've never heard anybody say that. It's a brilliant idea of get 10 headliners. And to be able to, that's what when I first started this part of my business, that's what I did. All I did was search. But I realized that I missed out a lot. I wasn't looking as much for the headlines. I was looking for the meat. And customers don't look for the potential. They want to see the headliner. So that's really helpful. A great reminder.
Oh, thanks for that feedback. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.